One of life's events that nobody looks forward to, but sometimes is inevitable because of unforeseen circumstances before you say, I do. We're talking about divorce. We're talking about all the fallouts from divorce, custody of kids, sharing of properties, who takes what goes where, and all of that. And this morning, Jacqueline Asante Mensah Esquire has joined us. She's the managing attorney at Asante Mensah and Associates. She is our guest in-house. You're very welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Cookie.
Lawyer,
Everything
welcome.
Okay with
Thank
you?
you.
Very good.
Everything okay?
Yes, I'm well.
This year alone, how many divorce cases have you just cited? Not dealt with, just cited.
Uncountable.
Yes.
The courts are packed. The courts are packed.
Why do you think that is? What is happening? What are we not getting right legally?
Legally, I would not say we are getting anything wrong.
Okay.
Because when you look at marriage, what goes into it depends on what both parties are bringing on board. So before you enter the marriage, you are supposed to do your homework. Now, when you fail to do that homework and you get into the marriage and you also fail to ensure that the marriage works, that is where the fallout begins. And the marriage begins to crumble because there is no foundation, there are no renovations going on within the relationship.
Okay.
So that is what causes divorce mostly.
Okay, I see. But I mean, socially, let's just take a look at it from the social point of view.
Yes.
What do you think we are missing? Why are the cases going up so high?
I think a lot of people are not ready to marry when they get married. They do not have a clear understanding of what it takes to sustain a marriage. So I'm growing old, I need to get married, I must marry. The church is giving me pressure, family is giving me pressure, so I marry. I'm in a relationship with somebody, I've impregnated the person, so I marry. So you see, a lot of people are not prepared mentally before they go into marriage. So that is what the social problem really is.
That's quite unfortunate. But Papa Ro has joined in this conversation. There's actually a letter that came to us that we are going to put on the screens very soon. I'm going to quickly read through it before we come back to counsel again for what she's got to say about this particular matter. Yes, so that's the letter on the screen. And it says, "Hello, New Day. I am currently in my second marriage after losing my previous wife and child during the birth of our baby. Now, a couple of months later, I met my current wife, who was very supportive and patient with me in my grief. And we got married eventually a couple of years later. I held an assistant managerial role at a successful fintech company before meeting my wife, so we were okay financially, but I quickly progressed to a directorial position which enhanced our quality of life. My side businesses were thriving and our standard of living also went several notches higher. My new position, however, took me away from home as I was in charge of the sub-Saharan African region, which meant my availability at home became very scarce. No marriage is perfect, but I had always thought my wife and I could overcome anything. But she became emotionally abusive towards me because of my absence, which she interprets as me leading a double life based on advice from her close confidants. Our marriage has completely gone beyond repairs now, and we have both decided to separate amicably. She is demanding full custody of our kids, the house we live in, which I bought together with my ex-wife, but renovated upon the request of my new wife. Separate monthly stipends for her and the kids, and the uncompleted property I was working on for us to move into before the divorce, amongst others. Now, my wife's sudden attitude is nearly sending me to an early grave because this is a woman I met and took care of before and after our marriage. I don't see anything amicable about this letter though, but it says she never lacked anything yet became emotionally abusive and intolerable. and now she's exhibiting gold-digging attributes. Hey, women. Roland is shaking his head. I don't want to drag the mother of my kids to court, but her demands are unreasonable. How do I go about this, and what are my chances if it ends in court? This is my greatest dilemma. And like I said before, I don't see anything amicable about this if she's demanding for all these. But just to pick your mind on this letter,
yes.
Is the lady doing too much?
Or asking for too much?
Well, I think certain details have been left out in the story regarding maybe what the lady also brought into the marriage. And so you can't say the lady is demanding too much. Now, the court would look at what is fair and just when it comes to the distribution of the properties. And so the lady can ask for what she is asking for, but as to whether the court is going to grant that to her is another issue. You can always go to court and ask for what you think you want, but the court would look at whether it is fair, whether it is just, whether you deserve it, before those things can be granted to you.
What's the current position of the law in relation to what she is asking for by way of being in a marriage and the properties being acquired and thereof, because it's now become irreconcilable, trying to dissolve the marriage?
Yes. So the position of the law currently is that any property that is acquired by either spouse before the marriage does not form part of spousal property.
Before?
Yes. So,
Okay.
Cookie, you have a house before you get married. Your husband cannot lay claim to that property.
And I can't either.
It is yours. You had it.
No,
before
and he
you got
can't
married.
either. I'm sorry.
Yes, your husband cannot
Okay.
lay claim to that property.
Okay.
But any property that is acquired within the marriage,
Okay.
whether you put up the money or he put up the money, is presumed to be jointly acquired. In law, when we say something is presumed, it means that you can rebut it.
Okay. Okay.
You can rebut it, yes. So the presumption is that properties acquired during marriage is supposed to be joint property.
Okay.
And each party is entitled to a fair share
Okay.
of it.
Okay, let's just lay the foundation. Say Roland and I, God forbid, today we don't want to be married anymore.
Yes.
I want a divorce, or Roland wants a divorce.
Yes.
What's the process? How do I start?
So a divorce is initiated through a petition,
Okay.
not a writ like other civil cases. You petition the court, because once you marry under the ordinance, it is only the court that can grant a divorce.
Okay.
So if you are married under the ordinance and you are living separately for 20 years, you are still legally married until you go to the court. So you petition the court, you plead with the court that you have been married to Roland and that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. That is the most important ground that the court would look at before it will go ahead to dissolve a marriage, whether the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. So once you state that, the court is going to look at ways in which you think the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. One of the issues you can put up is adultery. If one party has committed adultery and it is intolerable for you to live with the person after that act, then you can say that because of that adultery and the fact that it is intolerable for you to live with the person, the marriage has broken down. Yes. Then you, we have unreasonable behavior. That is an umbrella subject. Now, in the case that has been presented to us, the man says that his wife has been abusive, emotionally abusive. So all forms of abuse come under unreasonable behavior. As a married person, we expect you to behave reasonably. Okay. There are certain things we don't expect you to do. So if you're beating your wife or your husband, you are being emotionally abusive, financially abusive, verbally abusive. All that will come under unreasonable behavior. If your partner is going to your workplace, throwing tantrums embarrassing you in public. All those things amount to unreasonable behavior. If you are refusing to cook, even after the man has provided housekeeping, money and everything willfully, that can be classified as unreasonable behavior. And then we have desertion. So you've been married, the person just ups and away. You don't know where he is or where she is. There is no contact. Neither of you relates to each other as a married couple.
That passes for
the person has
behavior.
No, that is desertion.
Okay.
The person has deserted you.
Okay.
You can also use that as a ground to prove
okay.
that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation.
So once all these grounds are established,
yes, you file the petition.
Okay.
Then the other party would have to respond to the petition. And then if you also have any issues in the person's answer to your petition, you file a reply.
Okay. So in the case of Roland and I,
for trial.
In the case of Roland and I filed the petition first.
The petition, yes.
How long does Roland have to respond to it?
He has 8 days to enter appearance.
Only?
And then 21 days afterwards to file, 14 days afterwards to file his answer. So
which you call in law as?
That is the answer.
Okay.
The answer to this. So he is the respondent.
Okay.
You are the petitioner.
So what happens if Roland says, no, I don't want a divorce? How do we go on?
Roland cannot force you and say that you should remain married to him. And the court will not force you to remain married to him. So Roland can say, I'm not interested in the divorce.
Right.
But you will continue to say, you want the divorce. And that alone shows that the two of you are not addendum. Can two work together?
Unless they agree.
Yes. So definitely the marriage will end.
In the specific matter of these facts that have been put together,
yes,
the gentleman is saying the lady had been abusive.
Yes.
The lady also says this, or the gentleman says the lady suspects.
Yes.
That
he's living a double life.
Yes, so he may be promiscuous.
Yes.
Now, for the lady, that would be a ground for the divorce, based on what the man is narrating.
Saying, yes.
Now, at that point in time, if the lady is still insisting that I want to go ahead with the divorce, and the gentleman by this letter doesn't want the divorce, what then can be done to bring them to some level of consensus to reconcile?
Well, I think I initially said that once you are filing your petition, you indicate to the court that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation.
But
so it means that, yes.
So this is the gentleman's response.
That it hasn't broken down, yes. So once you have stated that already, the lady is making an averment that you have gone through, pastors, families have come in, friends have come in, you have not been able to resolve the issue. Now, when the case goes to court, the court would see if you can or you are amenable to resolution. And so you may be referred to ADR, that's Alternative Dispute Resolution Meetings. Or if the judge sees that maybe by your conduct, it appears the two of you may be able to reconcile.
So you become
they may take the judge, the judge would adjourn the case. Usually when adjournments are given, you know, parties have a chance to sit back and see whether, one, they can come back together, that is on their own accord. The judge does not really interfere, or the parties can resolve the matter amicably in the form of a settlement and then file that in court, and that is adopted as judgment.
Okay.
So if this time the lady on the position or looking at the current facts is insisting, I want to go ahead.
Yes.
What happens?
Then the case will proceed. Okay. The judge will go on and hear the case. Okay. You file your witness statements, and then each party will be cross-examined. So the lady would have to prove that truly the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation.
So one thing that we are not too clear about, sorry, people keep talking about the properties, but we want to take a look at custody of children. How is that decided in court?
Okay, so when it comes to custody of a child, either party can be granted custody of a child. That means that you are the person who is taking care of the child permanently. The child is living with you on a day-to-day basis. And then the other party would have what we call access to the child. Okay. So the other party can see the child maybe on weekends and so on and so forth. Now, in deciding this, the court looks at what is in the best interest of the child. And the law is very clear that when children are very young, it is imperative that they are given to the mother, or the mother is given custody, because a young child has needs that a man may not be well equipped to provide on a day-to-day basis. Yes, okay. That it is preferable to grant custody of the children to the mother. Okay. Unless maybe the mother has a mental issue, maybe she's living a certain kind of life that puts the children in danger. And so in that case, the court may grant custody of the children to the man. Okay. But the preferable is that the woman is granted custody and access is given to the man.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the issue of the property, the gentleman, can we put a slide where the narration on the property is? Because he's saying that this is too much. Yes. So on what basis can then this will be negotiated, or perhaps some resolution, they will come to some consensus on what you're asking is too much or is not too much? Should I read
it again? Should I read it again?
I've gotten it.
I think we will. Okay. So this is what usually happens. If the woman files her petition and the man also engages a lawyer to deal with the issue, the lawyers can come together and see if they can settle the matter. Okay. Settlement as in, let's decide what goes to this person by themselves.
Without any hearing?
Without the hearing.
Okay.
Without the hearing. And once they agree, they file that in court and it is adopted. If they are unable to do that, then the case will be heard. Okay. And the judge would look at what is fair under the circumstances.
To both parties?
To both parties.
Oh, okay.
What is fair to both parties. And then the property will be distributed. I know people are of the notion that it is 50-50. It is not cast in stone. It is not cast in stone. The court would look at what is equitable, what is fair and just under the circumstances. So the man may get 80 and the woman will get 20%.
After the hearing?
Yes,
okay.
After the hearing.
And that will be in the judgment of the
Yes, that will be in the judgment of the
So it means that from what you've explained, custody of the children will be determined by the court.
Yes.
But it looks like it would go to the side of the woman depending on the age of the children. So that's
they are very young.
So that's ruled out. And then the property that they lived in, which he acquired with his ex-wife,
yes.
but renovated when he met this new wife, cannot be possessed by the new wife.
It depends.
From the explanation that you gave us.
Yes, but it depends.
On
if maybe the woman puts up the money to do the renovation, then it means she has equitable interest in there.
Okay.
Because maybe the property was a 1-bedroom. Now, after you married the lady said, let's renovate.
And do 10 bedrooms.
This is 100,000. Now, it's a 10-bedroom. So the property has changed. The property has changed. And if the woman did contribute, whether money or maybe she saw to the construction, she was a supervisor and so on and so forth, then she may be entitled to something.
Okay.
She may be entitled to something.
Now, the spouse's contribution to a property, should it only be in resources or by the fact that I stayed married to Cookie, or in relation to this, I'm entitled?
So the contribution of parties are not only monetary. when you look at the woman, for instance, previously women were not in the working force. Women were mainly at home, being homemakers. So the court would consider the chores, childbearing, raising of a child. I think even in the story, he said that he traveled. And so that would mean that the woman had to take care of the children by herself. So all those things are contributions that the court would consider when they are sharing the property. You don't have to necessarily put up physical cash before you be entitled.
Counsel, the gentleman says he's in a dilemma. What would you tell him if he was sitting in front of you right now?
He should seek legal advice.
Okay, so he's sitting in front of you. What would you tell him?
I should give him free legal.
No, I'm just not free legal advice, but possibly what could happen?
Yes,
how does he
win? Be scared.
Okay.
The courts are well equipped with experienced lawyers, judges and lawyers. And the laws are very clear. So he should not be perturbed by what his wife is asking for. He should proceed to court and trust in the judicial process to come out with a fair result for both of them. So he should not be scared. If he is able to reach a settlement with his wife on their own, that is fine. But if not, and the case has to go through a trial, he should not be scared. I'm very confident that the judgment will be fair to both parties.
And in your estimation, how long could all of this take? How many years, how many months?
Well, if they are able to settle, all things being equal, you could
averagely
commence a case and then finish within 3 to 4 months. And then there are some cases that have been in court for the past 10 years.
Divorce cases?
Yes, especially because of the sharing of the properties. 10 years and more. Yes, unfortunately.
But it could also be resolved in 4 months.
Yes.
Depending on the parties.
Yes, if you settle, if you are able to settle and you're not going through a trial, definitely you've settled, you've agreed on who should get what. So it makes the work very easy for the judge.
So it means that in 10 years, if it's not ended, I can't remarry and Roland cannot remarry?
No, you can't. Wow. That would be bigamy.
Bigamy. All right.
It's a criminal
So the
offense.
last one, let me answer the last one. Averagely, what's the cost of going through a divorce process?
Okay, so when you look at legal fees alone, which is what the lawyer charges, we are guided by the Ghana Bar of Association.
I'm not talking
scale
about
of
you.
fees.
I'm talking generally.
Generally, well, you have the legal fees separate. And then you have filing fees. That is what you pay to the court when you file any process. So for those ones, once you take the process to court, they would look at the process and then let you know how much it will cost. But it is not over the top expensive. Yeah, it is not.
What do you mean over the top? Or not over the top? Let's okay.
Well, we've got some comments. We've got some comments that we have to read. And Kojo Billion says, you didn't acquire the old house with her. So she has the right to it. And after divorce, she's no longer your responsibility, but the kids, if she's to take custody of them. Any property you acquired when the two of you married will be shared according to law between the two of you and given to her. What are you saying? It will be shared between the two of you and given to her alone. Does it make sense?
I think we have to between the two of you. Go to
legal aid close to ministries and lodge a complaint, and she'll be invited for things to be settled amicably. But if she proves greedy, they will give you a lawyer and the case will be sorted in court. If what you're saying is true, she will never be given everything she's demanding. Okay. All right. So next comment says, that's why you need to sign a contract before marriage. And I'm definitely doing mine like that. Is it a prenup she's talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever he owns before getting married to me is his. Whatever I own, getting married to him is mine. And he has no right to claim it when things go south and vice versa. But once we get married and we have a property together, that is my money in it. His money also in it. Once things go down south, we will share those properties, okay. But now that we are boyfriend and girlfriend, I don't have the rights. Okay, so all that side is not important because this is a proper marriage and not just a relationship. Anyway, your final words to this gentleman.
So my final words are that he should seek legal advice.
Okay.
And I am certain that the court is going to be fair to both parties.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much for coming this morning. We appreciate your time. Counsel Papa Ro, you've got something to tell us before
you know the new force?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, so this message is coming from the new force. And are you tired of the same old political rhetoric? That's a good question. So do you believe it's time for a change that truly also represents the voices of our youth, women and children? Make sure that you welcome Nana Kwame Bediako, the presidential candidate who is not just promising change, but also actively working to make that happen. Nana Kwame Bediako is not your typical politician. He is a visionary leader with a passion for making Ghana better and then also making sure that Ghana goes through innovative industrial revolution. So together, the new force is saying they can cause the change that the political narrative and also create a government that truly represents the interests of all citizens. And with this message, they're saying that Nana is on a journey to build a better and inclusive future for all by contributing to Save Ghana Fund campaign. Now, according to this message, Nana is saying your support, no matter the amount, is not just a donation. It is an investment in the shared desire for a more prosperous, equitable, and better vision. Visit www.nkb.com.gh, or you can also dial *887 *2024#